Let's start this presentation about solving equations involving decimals with a bit of a review. One of the questions that I'm still seeing many people miss is how many solutions, or what is the solution after they finish solving the equation. So there's three different types of answers you'll get. So pretend there's a question up here, we did a whole bunch of solving, and this is our final solution, 4 equals 5. That doesn't make any sense. If you leave it like that without writing anything else, you're going to get it wrong. You need to specify that you understand that an answer like this means no solution. If you solve the equation, you end up with an answer like this, with a variable on one side and a variable on the other. You can leave it, unless it asks how many solutions. If it asks how many solutions, there's just one solution. It's telling us that x is 3 every single time. And the third example, if we solve all the equation all the way down and you end up with an answer like this, where a number equals another number and they do actually equal each other, if you leave it like this, you'll have it incorrect. You need to specify that you understand that an answer like this means there's infinitely many solutions. Anything we put in for x will make a true statement. So many solutions. So don't forget to finish solving by giving the answer. Either no solution, many solutions, or this if that's your final answer. Another sticky point that I'm still seeing is if the variable term is behind a negative. So let's just solve this problem as a quick review. Here's my variable term. I need to get rid of this 5 first. If I added 5 because of this subtraction, it would give me 10, not 0. Remember, this subtraction actually goes with the 4x. So you could do the keep, change to specify that it goes with that. Now you can see that you can subtract 5 on both sides to get a 36 here. And then this is where many of you drop the negative. This 4x is negative. It is not positive. It has a negative with it. So now we're going to divide by 4. So x equals negative 9. Many of you are making that mistake. All right, let's get the lesson of the day, solving equations with decimal coefficients. To me, this is much easier than the fractions we were doing before. Alright, so today we're going to be solving equations that involve decimals. Fractions are more accurate, but there are some things in real life that you would use decimals for example, money in the stock market. Also, many people like decimals because they are easier, so some of your equations will include decimals. Alright, so the steps are the same as all of the problems we've done previous to this. So the steps are the same. You're using inverse operations, but your answers are going to be in decimal form versus a fraction or an integer. So I'm going to start by dividing my sides. Now the first thing I notice is that I have variables on both sides. I don't want variables on both sides, so I need to get rid of one of them. So I always get rid of the one that is the least, so I'm going to get rid of this point. I'm going to get rid of the 6.7x on both sides. See, nothing is different. So now I have 3.4 plus 0.5 or 0.5x equals, don't forget this 13.9 has a negative in front of it, so it's going to be negative 13.9. And then here's my variable. So I need to get rid of whatever's furthest away or added or subtracted to it. So I'm going to get rid of the 3.4 by subtracting 3.4. And many of you are still making the mistake of ignoring your integers. So now I have 0.5x on this side. You can't just subtract down to make this 10.5 because this is negative. So really it is negative 13.9 minus 3.4. In a perfect world, you can do that in your head. If not, you certainly can use a calculator. You end up with negative 17.3, and then the x is being multiplied by 0.5, so you have to divide by 0.5. So x turns out to be negative 34.6. And if you plug this back in for x in both locations and simplify that out, the sides should be equal. So this is our answer. There are some of you that might not like decimals. Decimals are easy if you have a calculator, but if you don't have a calculator, I want to show you a little trick of clearing the decimals as a way to make this problem easier. So it's the exact same problem we just did, but this time we're going to clear the decimals by multiplying by a power of 10. So I am going to look, each of these has just one decimal place. So this is pretty easy because if I multiply everything by 10, I will be able to move my decimal one place to the right. So 3.4 times 10 is 34. It's a distributive property, so 7.2 times 10 is 72x. I'm going to have to do the same thing over here to make this 67x minus 139. And then we're going to solve it like we've solved every other equation. We're going to split our sides. I see there are variables on both sides, so I'm going to get rid of the one that is the lowest. So I'm going to subtract 67x from both sides. That gives me 34 plus 5x over here. And negative, remember this has a negative in front of it, negative 139. Now I'm going to subtract 34 from both sides to get 5x on this side. And don't forget that this was a negative, so you can't just do 139 minus 34. This has a negative, so we're really adding the two numbers together and they're going to be negative. So that would be negative 173. We're going to divide both sides by 5 to come up with x equals 34.6, just like we did before. Just this time we cleared the decimals. So the only new thing really is that you have decimals. Solving it is the exact same way.